So we can see how much the garden has grown, how much it has filled out, and the flowers are blooming. I'm fixing to do some harvesting. I've got several things I need to get harvested, especially the lettuces and some of the Swiss chard. I need to go ahead and get the rest of my cabbage out of the garden. Going to be making fermenting some sauerkraut. I need to I've still got a little bed here that I need to get filled out with some more herbs. And my corn back here in the back, I need to get it. I fertilized it the other day with, like everything else, with my fish emulsion and kelp. But at a certain point, your corn, we used to grow hundreds and hundreds of ears of corn and put up. And the best thing you can do for them is to give them a good shot of nitrogen. So I'm going to be doing that today too. I've got some more sweet peas I need to get picked. And I don't know. I'll just have to look around and see everything I need to deal with today. I'm still in really bad need of getting the inside of my greenhouse cleaned up. It's become a cluttered mess, me messing and gomming trying to get everything done. And so I'll probably do that next week. Don't know that I'll get it done this week. A lot going on. And I think I've got some red waspers that's taking up my house in here too. I need to do some mulching. I need to do some mulching in the back garden too, where all my fruit and stuff is. But my main thing today is to get lettuce, sweet peas. I think I may have a squash out there that I need to get picked. And I'm going to set my sprinkler system up and probably do some watering too. Oh, my knees are so bad, y'all. I've got some Swiss chard here that I'm going to go ahead and harvest. I could put my shade cloth over it. I need to do a little something different with my shade cloth because everything's gotten so big and tall. So I know what I'm going to do. I just haven't done it yet. Let's see. I'm hooked in here. Okay. Now I'll get in here to everything. I know that when summer's out, well, probably about August, when everything, August, September, is kindly, settled down. Everything's not producing as much. The heat is awful. Everything's maybe drying up. It's when I'll start planting my cold weather crops that go into the fall, which will be my greens and brassicas, your spinach and kale and all that. because it doesn't do good in this Arkansas heat or humidity, I grant you. I'm going to go ahead and harvest this lettuce, because I know my kids will eat it too. So my carrots have finally decided that they're going to grow, I guess. And I've got beans planted down the sides of these beds and even in the middle between stuff, because I knew that when the lettuces got done, you know, I need something to take its place. So I'm always interseeding and doing all that. I've got wildflowers planted among everything too. Sometimes it's a blessing, sometimes it's a pain, but just do what you got to do. How is y'all's gardens doing? Arkansas is well known for being wet and cold, and then all of a sudden going to extreme heat. That's for sure. So your garden will go from one extreme to the next real quick. Hank is not out here with me right now. He was out earlier. Hank, if you don't stay right here with him, he's gotten into this habit of running off here lately. And it's going to end up getting him hurt. So this morning when I was out for just a little bit, I let him out, of course. And I went back inside the house to do a few things, and I was gone. It took about that short time he ran off again. And that's not good. So what happened the other day, he ran off and got himself in some trouble. And we just can't break him of the habit right now. You think that he's broke and doing better, and then here he goes again. He's a good dog, very smart dog. Hank was trained to be a duck dog. And the reason we even have him is because his owner never did come back to the kennel and get him. So he's trained in a different way than most dogs are. He's not your everyday household dog. He's trained to hunt. Good dog, very smart dog. But if you give him an inch, he's going to take a mile and he's going to run off. So I fed him good, and right now he's resting. And he took off again this morning. Like I said, hadn't been out very long, and I just went back in the house just to do something. And when I come out, he was gone, and I hollered and hollered. He never would come back in. When he did come back in, you could tell he had been into stuff again. And he found him a buddy to run with. And that buddy's going to end up getting him hurt or killed, I'm afraid. So we're really, really having to keep an eye on him. Right now, it's hot out here right now. He wouldn't be doing much anyways, but he's picked up a bad habit. And he can't be doing it. You just can't do that, because it'll get you in trouble. Of course, he don't understand that. He's a dog. You know. He don't understand it. Does anybody like wilted lettuce? That's a big thing here in the hills of Arkansas. It's wilted lettuce. Have you ever heard of it? I'm sure most of you have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim all the rest of this lettuce, and there's a little bit of kale in here. And I'm going to take that inside the house to keep it from getting hot. Then I'm going to come back out and harvest the rest of my stuff. So this is the bed that my broccoli and cauliflower are in. And after harvesting all of it, and now that it's gone, getting into the heat, I replanted some green beans in here. So I'm going to have green beans coming up, you know, at different intervals. They're not all going to come up at the same time because I planted, whoops, I'm sorry y'all. I planted and replanted green beans and to replace other things that I've, you know, it's time to pull up because of summertime heat coming on. But I believe I can keep some of this kale as long as I'm going to keep it covered up a little bit with my shade cloth. I'll be able to keep it okay for a while. And I keep hitting my mic here, and I just can't help it, y'all. Makes me want to take it off. My dill is where I want it right now. I wish I had some cucumbers that were coming off really good right now, but I don't, because I like for it to come to a head, then I like for it to start to seeding itself and using it in my pickles. So in this area where I had some cabbage heads, I planted a bunch more bell peppers. And of course, this huge borage is here. It's huge, y'all. The stem on it is huge, and the bees are loving it. I see my little fountain over here ain't working. I'm going to have to clean it up. But I need to get to my greens picked right now and get them in the house because it's getting hot out here. Do y'all remember my three sisters' garden that I showed y'all a while back, a few weeks ago? And y'all remember, I'll show you a picture when I first started it. Well, after seeding, after the corn started coming up anyways. And you see how much it's grown. But I do need, even though, like I said, I've been fertilizing with my fish emulsion, it still needs a good hit of nitrogen. So I will do that. Underneath here, my squash plants are doing good. I keep them fertilized. They're growing. And then all my my beans that I planted around the corn stalks, they're all growing. So they're all kind of growing together. So can you believe how much of a difference it is from when you first seen it just a few weeks ago? This is the bed that most of my broccoli was in. And of course, we've done harvested all of it and ate it. So I come in this bed too. This is burdock, a very useful medicinal plant. Let's see. So when I took out all the broccoli plants, there's still some onions growing here. I planted green beans. I've got some Roma tomatoes. I'll take this off. I'll kind of tie my Romas to my arbor here, but I've got some Romas back here, and then I've got beans going here, and then I still have celery and Swiss chard here, and I'm gonna get a little bit of my Swiss chard out of here right now, but I need to cover this up with my shade cloth before I leave out. The celery is really growing. Got a few weeds in here. Don't know how they get in there, but they do. So the celery's doing pretty good. I planted it late and planted it by seed, so it's coming up pretty good. So if you leave, as you're harvesting your greens and stuff, it's probably best not to do it the heat of the day like I am. But sometimes I don't get to pick and choose when I'm out here working in the garden, because some days are just busier than others that I have to spend time on other things. And that's just part of life. That's why I was saying, just as soon as I pick these greens, I need to take them inside of the cooler house, because they will just start wilting pretty bad. I think I've got some, that may be lamb, yeah it is. I got some lamb's ear coming up in here. I'm trying to figure out, because I put ground cloth under, but there's still stuff. I just wonder, I'm pretty sure it may just been in probably my compost, I'm sure. That's how some of this stuff's getting in here. Hopefully some of this Swiss chard and lettuce and stuff that I am harvesting some of it will try to come back a little bit. But it doesn't like the hot weather, so it will really struggle. I've got lots of celery planted in here, and it's trying to grow among everything. So tell me in your comments how your garden's doing so far. This before we really start getting into the heat of summertime. And I know some places like Texas and different places, even up north, are really having some hot weather. We have been in the 80s this last several days, which we needed pretty bad, so I'm not complaining. Okay, I'm gonna take my greens inside. So I got a pretty good basket of lettuce and Swiss chard. I even found a yellow squash that I forgot about and didn't pick. So there we go. I'm gonna take this inside. I'm probably gonna go ahead and throw it in some cold water and let it soak a little bit. I have several more heads of cabbage that I need to go ahead and harvest, because if you wait too long trying to get the biggest head that you ever grew, they'll end up going the other way, and you're going to have hollow, overgrown. Have you ever cut into a cabbage and it was just, you could tell that they picked it too late? The insides started getting hollow. There just wasn't as much substance to the cabbage. But these are just perfect. I've been harvesting some. This right here is a different kind. And I think this is called Marketplace. And these right here are your Copenhagen, and they are my favorite. I wanted to show y'all how big the mullein plants are getting. They will get pretty tall before they start blooming and putting on I mean, you could harvest it right now if you just wanted the leaves. But this part right here will get taller and taller and taller, and it'll put off a lot of blooms. And your blooms are good for your tincture and your teas and stuff like that, just like the leaves are, and even the stalk. So the whole plant and even the root are good for medicinal purposes. My cantaloupe are really growing and healthy, and I'm keeping them fertilized with my fish emulsion. I'm going to have to pick the rest of my green peas. They're just about done. And I've got some okra and coming up back there. So everything's looking good. Everything in its due time. I myself don't like everything coming off at once. So a lot of these cabbage leaves, if they're in good condition, you can wash them and you can eat them. And some of them I will. And some of them I'll be giving to the chickens. And if there's very much left, I'll throw in my compost. But the chickens absolutely love the cabbage. And I like feeding them good, healthy stuff like that because they give me good, healthy eggs. And here's the okra. It's really starting to take off now that we've had some sunshine and some few hot days. And that is what okra loves, is hot, dry days. That's just what they thrive on. I got some green beans at the end. So hopefully the okra will really take off, and I don't know. Sometimes it takes it a while to bloom, but it's usually about August when we really start getting a lot of okra. So everything's parking up since the sun's been shining, but the sweet peas are about done, so we need to get them picked. So there are a few blooms, but the blooms are done on the sweet peas, and I do have a few more that are, the little pods are still trying to fill up with bigger peas, but they are dying off. That's why, now I plant the peas, and I planted tomatoes among them. The peas put a lot of nitrogen in the ground. Also underneath, I planted green beans, and they are starting to grow and come up, and that's another source of nitrogen. So everything just kind of complements each other and works together to keep each other healthy. Okay, this head right here weighs about 3.5 pounds. And that's just the right size cabbage to me. Because like I said, when you start getting too big and just keep letting them grow and grow and grow, sometimes you don't have as good a tasting cabbage. But especially when it's really starting to get into the heat of summer. This one weighs a little over 2 pounds. So what you see right here is about 5 pounds of cabbage. That one is 2 pounds and 14 ounces. This one is a smaller head. It's called a marketplace. I do like the taste of this cabbage. It's real tender. You can cut it. It's just like cutting lettuce up. This one is 1 pound, 14 ounces. But none of my marketplace got much bigger than this one, but they tasted really, really good. So this is just the last 4 heads out of the garden. And let's see, I've got sauerkraut already in the pantry, just a small thing of it fermenting. And we ate a bunch of cabbage. We absolutely love fried cabbage. Stuff like that. Coleslaw, I made coleslaw. So there's been a lot of eating cabbage lately. But I'm going to take these, and I think one of the heads I'm going to do some cabbage rolls, and I'm going to freeze them. Then I'm not for sure. I may do some what they call freezer slaw. We'll just have to see. But if y'all wanting to see any of this done, just let me know. Because we have really been enjoying our cabbage this year. Needing to keep your greens cold, and you don't have refrigerator space at the time, because you got to keep them cool before you can work them up and get them good and clean. I had to go back out to the garden. But I do this. I keep several of these always frozen in the freezer at all times, because there's no telling what I need them for. But this is just a good way to keep them cold till you can get to them. Well, it's just me for lunch today, and I picked that last squash that was ready to pick, and I'm just going to fry me up a little bit of squash for my lunch. What do y'all think? I had a little bit of bacon grease left in my pan from baking this morning, and I threw in just a little bit of olive oil, and this will be my lunch. Can't get no better than this. Okay, before we end this video, I'm just going to make a small batch of kraut for you. It's such an easy thing to do, and it's so good for you. Now, this is some of the smaller heads that I had picked, and they are so tender. They taste so good. They're not stout, and just really good cabbage. These are the Marketplace. Like I said, they don't get very big, but they're a good cabbage. Or I couldn't get them very big. The other ones, the Copenhagen always does a lot better for me. But anyways, I'm just going to take my very sharp knife. Now, if you want to do this with a food processor or whatever, but I just don't want to get all that out. And plus, this is like therapy for me. I love cutting up vegetables and cabbage and stuff, but you just want to cut it up in real thin pieces. And I'll do this too. We'll probably go ahead and cut it all up. And you see, that's what just like that, just little pieces, little skinny pieces like that. Or if you want bigger chunks, go ahead. It really doesn't matter. You make your kraut the way you want to. But that's the way we like it. But I will be fermenting some of this, and then I think some of it I'm going to make some coleslaw with. But I may go ahead and just cut it all up, probably. Just make sure you don't have any bad spots in it. Make sure you wash it good, and then drain the water off of it. And then, as you're cutting it up, find any bad places in it, because you don't want to put that in your jar as it's fermenting. This is going to be a small batch. I have a huge crock that I do kraut in, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just doing a small batch. So if any of y'all want to do a small batch, this is it's easy just to throw together and then throw it after it ferments for about, a small batch will take about probably between a week and a half to 2 weeks. My bigger batches take up to 4 weeks before they get fermented to the way that we like it. But I'm just going to show you how I throw this together, and you can always keep a small batch in your refrigerator. You don't have to always do a big batch. As you know, you're getting low on cabbage or kraut. You can just get you another head of cabbage, whether if you grow it or if you have to buy it at the store. It really doesn't matter. You can start your small batch again to come on. I like to keep mine in the refrigerator. It stays crisp. It stays good forever because it is fermented. And, of course, it won't last that long because you will have it ate up pretty quick. We love just to eat just a little handful with different things on our plate. We love to eat it with sauerkraut weenies. We like sauerkraut on your hot dogs. There's just so many things to eat sauerkraut. And when you ferment it like that and get them probiotics in there, and if you don't can it, and I have canned some in the past, just only for long-term pantry. That's the way that we grew up, because we had to put everything up. There was no choice, because what we put up is what we ate in wintertime, and you didn't worry if it had probiotics in it or not. You were just worried about putting food in your stomach. So we'd have some in the refrigerator, and then Grandma would have some on the shelf. And sometimes it turned out to be kraut, and sometimes it didn't. It turned out just to be canned cabbage. But whenever I can or have canned kraut, I always ferment it first and then can it. Yes, it loses a lot of its probiotics, but that's not the reason I'm canning it. I'm not canning it for the probiotics. I'm canning it for long-term pantry reasons. But I don't need any in the pantry, so I'm going to put this in the refrigerator. So it will have its probiotics and be good for my gut. So I'm going to finish cutting all this up, and then we'll get to the process of fermentation. Now, there's a lot of different people out there that will tell you different amounts of salt to put in your kraut, to put in your cabbage to make the kraut. I have in the past went by what others say, and it was way too salty, and I had to rinse my kraut after it fermented, and that really threw me off. So I cut down on my salt, and that's up to you how you do it. It's going to ferment, and it's going to be fine without that much salt in it. And I'm also going to put some coriander seeds in it. Coriander is something that a lot of people put in their kraut. It just gives it a wonderful taste. I like to take my seed and kind of mush it up, and I buy it in bulk. I get it at the Mennonite store. Whenever I'm in there, I go ahead and pick me up a bowl of it because I know I'm going to be using a container of it. I'm using canning salt. That's just what I prefer to use. You can use whatever salt, and I've got turmeric here. I like putting turmeric in it just a little bit, but Danny doesn't like the taste, so I'm not going to put it in there this time. So we've got our cabbage here, and we've got just a little bit over 5 pounds. So I'm going to put about, for 5 pounds, I'm going to probably put about 1.5 teaspoons per pound. But I'm going to put a teaspoon at a time, and then I'm just going to massage it. And this is just how I've always done it, and it's always turned out good. But you want to take that salt and just kind of massage and break up that cabbage, and you'll feel it, and you'll see how fast it's going to wilt down. I mean, it's unreal how much it'll wilt down. And you'll know that you're really getting that salt in there really good when it starts wilting like that. This is a very important part of the procedure of making kraut, is getting that salt mixed in among all that cabbage. Now, some people like salty kraut. I don't. I don't like salty kraut. But what I've started using is plenty of salt, and it always does really well. So I'll put another teaspoon. And just keep massaging. Now, this takes a little while. You have to be patient with it. When I'm making big batches, it takes just a little while. This process right here takes longer than any of it. Is massaging that salt in there. And you'll see that the liquids will start to kind of come out of the cabbage, and it just keeps wilting more and more down. So, me having about 5 pounds here of shredded cabbage, I'm going to go ahead and put my coriander in it. In fact, I think I'm going to stop at 3 teaspoons of salt, of canning salt. Because I can tell by the feel of it that it's took that salt really well. Because the juices are coming out and it's wilting. Okay, you can see how this is wilted down, can't you? It does. It wilts down a lot. Now, when I said 5 pounds, that was before I shredded it. So that was 5 pounds, around 5 pounds of the heads. That's what they all weighed. So I'm going to say this is about 3 pounds. So 3 teaspoons of salt was plenty. And I'll put that down in the recipe in the description box below. But I think this has been massaged and worked up plenty. And now I'm going to get my jar. I'm going to do this. I'm going to try to do this in a 2-quart jar. I may have to do it in a 2-quart jar that I bought a long time ago. And then a quart. I'm not sure. We'll see how it works out. I'm going to cover this up with a dish towel, and I'm going to let it sit for, I don't know, probably about 30 minutes, and I'll come back to it. Okay, it's been about 30 minutes. It's been sitting here, and it's really, really wilted down now. And it's already starting to make a little bit of juice. I'm not sure how I'm going to have to jar this up yet. We're just going to try it, and I may have to change it out. I'm going to put some of it in my 2-quart jar here, because this really what I'm wanting to ferment it in. Like I said, this is a small batch, but I've got to be able to pound this down, so I don't know if I can get it all in there and be able to pound it down with my kraut pounder yet. We'll see. It'll work out either way. If you want to put it in a container before you pound it, do that, and then, but it's just harder to do that and then get your brine and everything in there. So if you want to, with this batch, with this amount, you can do it in 2-quart jars. The bigger jar I have is a 2-quart jar. It holds 2 quarts, and then the other jar is a 1-quart jar. Sounds kind of confusing, isn't it? But I think what I'm going to do is just work this up. Like I said, I'm going to pound it. Get as much juice out of the kraut or the cabbage as I can. Now, I always make up a little bit of brine because it seems like I never have just enough brine to cover that cabbage the way it needs to be covered. So you do that by mixing 1 cup of hot water to 3 tablespoons or 3 teaspoons of salt. So let's just start pounding on this a little bit, and as you do this, you're going to see it's going to release a lot of juice and brine. So I'm going to do it to this one, then I'm going to do it to the 2-quart jar too. And I just have a feeling I'm probably going to combine both of these into that bigger jar before it's over with. So you just want to keep pounding and pounding and pounding. Takes just a little while till you start seeing that brine come on up your cabbage. But you got to have enough to come over and cover the top of your cabbage. And sometimes sometimes it happens, and now if you press down on the cabbage enough, that brine will come on over it. And of course, you're going to put weights on it and stuff like that, which will help. But I've just always made it a practice to make extra brine to pour over the top, so I always know there's plenty. So I'll put the recipe to extra brine in the description box too. Now this usually comes together pretty quick, but as usual when you're doing a video it seems like it takes longer, but it really doesn't. So I'm going to keep doing this till I can see that all the brine has come up. So I transferred the 1-quart jar into this one. And I figured that's probably what I would do. And I'm just still tamping it down, and I'm getting a lot of that brine out of that, or the juices out of that cabbage. But I just have a feeling it's not going to be enough, which is okay, because we'll fix that with the extra brine that I made. So I had to pour in just a little extra brine in there to cover the cabbage, and then I took my extra leaves that I kept off my cabbage to put on top of the shredded. And now I'm going to put my weights on top. Now if you don't have any weights, what I used to do is fill up little freezer bags and with full water, and you stick it down in there and on top of the big leaves, and that will hold the weight will hold the cabbage down. But you see, you have to just make sure that your shredded cabbage is completely covered with your brine. Now, you don't have to put a lid on this. What I do is I just put a plate on top. I need to get a smaller plate, but just put you a saucer on top of it. It's all you have to do. You don't have to have special lids or anything bought for it. So just cover it up with a smaller saucer. This is going to go in my pantry in a dark place, cool place, for about a week to 2 weeks. Okay, it's been a little over a week. So we're going to take the top off this lid. I just put a saucer over it. That's all I did. We're going to take everything out of here and we're going to taste it. I want to check it for any kind of mold or anything. And I can tell you right now, you can see the brine is plumb over even the weights. So it made a really good brine. So I think it's going to be okay. But you just always need to check that. But for a small batch like this, sometimes it just depends too on the temperature of your house and your pantry. So I'll take the weights out of it. We'll smell it. Smells like sauerkraut. Now, like I said, a small batch usually takes 1 to 2 weeks, just depends. And then my bigger batches always take at least 4 weeks to get it as sour as I like it. So we took the weights out. Now I'm going to take the big leaves off the top. I don't see any mold or anything set up in it. But my house has been at a pretty good temp. But I want to taste it, y'all. I want to taste it because if it's not sour enough, I'm going to let it go at least a few more days. You can hear how crunchy it is. And there's plenty of salt. I'm glad that I didn't put no more salt than I did. It's not sour enough though, y'all. Tastes good. It's starting to get that fermented sour taste, but it's just not there yet. So I'm going to put my big leaves up here on top again. And I'll check it probably maybe by this weekend or something. Now, if my house was really, really warm, it might be already, good and sour, but place my weights back on there. So, you know the gist of it, and it's just so easy. And a lot of us that aren't feeding a big family anymore, we don't have to make a big crock of it. But sometimes I do, because I love to keep this in the refrigerator. It stays crispy. It just keeps fermenting slowly in the refrigerator. So it just tastes so good. But it does take us a long time to eat that much. Even if, throughout the day, you might grab you a little handful, or every night with your supper or whatever. But still, it takes a while. So just making a little batch, I think, is a good deal too. But anyways, I'm going to be doing some different things with the cabbage that I got today. And if y'all think y'all would like to see me make cabbage rolls and freeze them, we can do that. And I'm sitting on the fence with freezer slaw. I'm not sure. I love it because I've made it in the past, and I love having it on hand. I really do, especially for barbecue stuff like that during the summer. It's not a mayonnaise base; it's more vinegar base, so you don't have to worry about it, out in the heat. So, anyways, I'm gonna put my little saucer back on it, put it back up in the pantry, and give it another, I don't know, maybe 3 to 4 days, and then I'll taste it again. And then it should be ready. And like I said, when it gets the way fermented and sour enough for me, I will put a lid on it and I'll put it in the refrigerator. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. It's just a day in my life. And there's just always so much more that goes with it. But we all have busy lives, don't we? So I hope y'all have a beautiful rest of the week. And I think we're supposed to be getting some more rain, a little bit of rain. But we have been getting some sunshine, and I'm so thankful for it. So I hope y'all's gardens are doing good. And I hope everybody has a good harvest. Whether if you put a big garden in, a little garden in, a balcony garden, it doesn't matter. It all counts. So just do the best you can. And if you're not able to, there's a lot of the towns that have farmers markets and stuff that your local people will bring so much produce in. And you can maybe have somebody pick it up for you if you can't do it. But thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe, because it's going to help us out a lot to keep going and keep our videos going. So God bless everybody. We absolutely love y'all and appreciate y'all so much. But more than that, God loves y'all so much. We'll see y'all in a few days.